Lifers? Welcome to Light Tap, a Viviset podcast. My name is Melissa.
And I'm Emily.
And our co-hosts for today, I usually start on my right, but sorry, Sam, we're going to start on my left.
I'm the favorite. My name is Anna.
And then to my right.
Sam, the one and truly only. I don't know.
Sure. Hay un montón de Samueles en la vida. All right, you guys. So we're starting this episode, and again, we're so happy that our co-hosts are here for this episode. It's about to get deep, you guys. This topic here, I'm really strongly passionate about. So just as a disclaimer, this is a light tap into the conversation. This is not a deep Bible study. We're not about to look up.
Deep dive.
Exactly, deep dive is not that. Is we're lightly tapping it. Take this as a motivation for you to open up your Bibles, for you to ask the Holy Spirit, what is it that He wants to reveal Himself to you through His Word, for you to have that one-on-one time with Jesus. You know what I mean? So take this as motivation. But this is just a light tap into this subject. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Ready? All right. So today's episode, we're talking about
Vulnerability.
all right, you guys. What do you think or feel or anything when you hear this word? I'm scared. Honestly, I'm scared. When I hear vulnerability, I'm like, it's like, it can be anxiety. Honestly. What do you think, Sam?
I feel like it has to do a lot with having to be exposed.
Yes. Oh,
I like that word.
Exposed. I like that. All right. So this conversation or this topic came about because I was telling them about a situation that I'm not going to go into great details, but basically this one person was talking about generations. And they were talking, and this is an older person from Central America, and we're all from Central America. We're all here from El Salvador.
El Salvador.
And so we have recognized these patterns throughout our people, if we're being honest, right? El Salvador people, we love you, los amamos, pero Jesus. Algunos de nosotros que vienen como familiares, que son adultos, lo que sea, there's this big thing of you have to be strong. Tienes que ser fuerte porque la vida es fuerte, and things are going to happen to you. You have to be fuerte, right? And so this one person, was saying that, de que las generaciones pasadas eran fuertes, y la generación de ahorita es not, porque solamente viven en depresión e ansiedad. Jesus. And obviously this does not sit well with me because I do not agree with that. Yes, I understand que en theory las generaciones pasadas aguantaban cosas and wouldn't speak up on things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this generation is the lead generation. Or should do the same. They even gave an example of when they were little, and if they would fall, que their dad would be like, que los hombres no lloran.
Don't cry.
Or come on, get up, sacúdete and keep it pushing, right? And that's awesome. Pero también that creates in people certain trends and patterns that can linger into you're an adult that are not super healthy. And so that's why there's también even un saying donde dice hurt people, right? Yep. There's a lot of people who are hurt and who living hurt but want to put a facade que son strong. My name is Melissa and I'm one of them. If we're being already vulnerable and exposed, I'm about to expose myself. But nonetheless, this didn't sit well with me, and I wanted to bring this up in the table because when I heard this, I really just wanted to walk out of that space because I was like, I don't agree with this. I strongly do not agree with this, and I hate the fact that a lot of people are hearing this and agreeing with this. And that just creates more, this is a strong word, but it creates more ignorance on the subject of depression and anxiety and vulnerability and all the things. So Samuel was like, yeah, this reminds me of the following Bible verse that we're going to read. And so I want us, when we talk about this topic, which is kind of heavy, but in the same way, like we're going to have like a light conversation on it, is that we keep this in mind. We all have different opinions, and I'm pretty sure if you're watching us on YouTube or you're hearing us on Spotify, you may have a different opinion from us, and that's completely fine. I think if we walk into a space where we can learn from each other, I can hear your point of view, and you can hear mine, and kind of meet in the middle, or like teach each other a couple of things of how we process this, pero que nunca sea para stumble somebody else.
You also gotta keep an open mind and think that like different people, different lives, different opinions, different experiences. Just because you think some certain way doesn't mean that somebody else will, because the experiences that they've gone through. Different experiences bring up different emotions. Different people deal with different things other millions of different ways. So just because you've gone through this one thing, you're like, oh, I can relate, but like, get over it. But your feelings are not that person's feelings.
Yeah.
Your thought process may not be that other person's thought process.
It's crazy porque, I mean, I think that all of you guys have siblings. All of us have siblings here. And even though we were raised by the same person, like let's say our mom or dad or whatever, not two siblings have gone through the same experience, even with your parents.
Even in the same household.
Yeah, like you have not experienced the same thing. And so, imagínate, si dos personas que quizás se criaron con la misma persona o con las mismas personas no piensan lo mismo, no sufrieron lo mismo, no experience the same things, then deja tú que
makes you think a whole
stranger.
total stranger, yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and again, this is gonna be our Bible verse, because we're gonna talk and we're gonna say a lot of things throughout this episode, and all of us are gonna share, but we want to make sure that we keep this in mind, okay? And that's Bible verse for today is Matthew 18:6-7. Emily will read it in English, and then I'll read it in Spanish.
It states, if anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come.
En español, Mateo 18, del 6 al 7 dice, pero si alguien hace uno de estos pequeños seguidores míos, deje de confiar en mí, merece que le aten el cuello una piedra enorme y lo tiren al fondo del mar. Muchas cosas en el mundo hacen que la gente desobedezca a Dios, y no hay manera de evitarlo. Pero, ¿qué mal le irá a quien haga de que otro desobedezca a Dios? It's like two different things, right? They're talking about like, world is gonna come, life is gonna come, and that's gonna make you stumble. That's gonna make you desobedecer a Dios, quizás dudar en Él, quizás, feel some type of way against God, because if I'm honest, I've been angry at God a lot of times. I've been sad with God a lot of times. I've been disappointed in God a lot of times in those moments where I'm going through stuff. Obviously, después pasa el tiempo and I'm like, you were right,
I see it now. I completely understand.
No lo entendí antes, pero ahora lo entiendo. Pero, so dice, like, okay, esas cosas van a pasar. Y no lo puedes evitar. Pero, don't let you be the one that makes somebody stumble, right? And so we want to keep that in mind as we have in this conversation, porque sí, ahorita podemos escuchar, I think all of us have, at least somebody that has gone through or is going through depression or anxiety. Yeah. And one, have you ever experienced this? And this is our vulnerability part. Because I know, like, for me personally, I don't like to talk about my feelings. I don't like to be vulnerable in front of people.
Same.
It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me like nervous, and I start laughing a lot because I'm nervous. Pero we can't talk about things that we're not willing to do, right? So we're going to talk about vulnerability, which we encourage you to be vulnerable. Then we got to be vulnerable ourselves. So have you ever experienced depression, anxiety, or have you experienced or are you the type of person that is que se le dificulta ser vulnerable?
Yes, I've gone through depression, and it was because of a heartbreak. And I know everybody when they're teens or whenever they're younger, they had like a girlfriend, boyfriend, and then you put all your time into this one person, and I got really distant from God, and I went to look for love for in something or someone that doesn't really give you love. Instead, and then we broke up, and then I was like, oh, I don't have anyone now. Like, I don't have love anymore. And I didn't look up to God, and that's when I was like really depressed. I started to listen to very bad music. I didn't eat well either. I also like really me rebelé con mi mamá. Hice tantas cosas, like tonterías y todo eso. Y eso es lo que en esta generación está sufriendo mucho, es la depresión. Y me da mucha sadness, tristeza ver que nuestra generación se está perdiendo. Y eso es lo que quiere el diablo, es traerse toda esa generación que, like, entre depresión, like, I don't know if y'all saw whenever, what's his name, Juice WRLD? Was it Juice WRLD?
Oh, Juice WRLD.
The Astro World thingy? The
I don't know who
concert?
that is.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that, and I was like, dang, toda esa generación just went away like that. And I'm just like, I'm afraid that, like, I actually want to go out and, like, try to tell those teens that they're not alone, that God is there. Like, He can pull you out from all that depression. Depression doesn't bring you really good things. And I feel like, especially in our generation, since the devil knows that we're going to bring up a really big change, it's where he attacks. We're not a weak generation. I feel like we're like one of the strongest generations.
Same.
I think that's the thing, right? That you say that, like, oh, I want to go out there and I want to tell people, hey, you're not alone. I'm here for you. But and this is your generation. People from the older generation, oh, it's okay. Get over it. You're fine. Like, God loves you. God loves you. God understands. Da, 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 da. But unfortunately, all they're saying is like, time will pass. It'll get over it. But nobody's asking. How are you feeling? How can you deal with your feelings? The Bible says this and this and this and that. They're not actually trying to help them get over it. They're just telling them, do it. And unfortunately, the generation, this past generation that is a little older than us, doesn't understand that, like, instead of lending a helping hand, you're actually crippling them. Because of instead of telling them, like, hey, I'm a helping hand. I can listen to you. Instead of, like, picking them up, you're putting them back down. Because unfortunately, we think like, okay, I want to reach out. I want help. I want to have somebody hear me out. But when you're not even willing to, like, take a step back and put your own thoughts and emotions as a grown up and be like, instead of, you say this a lot, and I love it when you do, because it brings me back a lot. Where it's like, sometimes instead of talking, instead of trying to figure out what to say for the conversation, you need to step back and listen. Don't think about what the next what your next sentence is gonna be.
Yeah.
Just shut up and listen.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's all they need. They need to be heard.
Yes.
They need to express their feelings. They need to express their emotions. But unfortunately, when these teens don't, that's when everything gets bottled up. And what happens to things that are
And
bottled
it
up?
leads to depression, and it leads to anxiety, and it leads to more people not being vulnerable.
Exactly.
Or,
More
know,
closed
being
off.
even afraid of being vulnerable. They have to que no, quizás son vulnerable, but then they're like, they see this big old word, even like us when we were like, vulnerability, and we were like, ugh.
Cringing.
What? So what do you think it sounds?
Well, I'm the last to speak of this topic. Okay, well,
Have you gone through depression?
Or anxiety.
I think we've all gone through some point of our lives where we just feel the worst and feel like we're not even like good enough, and you feel vulnerable, but in a negative way, and like you don't feel worth it. You don't feel like you're actually like what's
I
up?
feel like you don't have
Sí, sí,
value.
sí.
Yes,
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're not being heard, you're not being seen
They're
Yeah.
appreciated.
or appreciated. And sometimes you feel like there's so many things going around, and sometimes you just let it slide, and that starts, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the important things is I think that in the sense of like depression, anxiety, and all this stuff, right? I think the common factor in all of these things is the sense of being alone,
Yes.
right? In that sense, I think que depression and anxiety sneak in cuando tú te empiezas a sentir solo. Y no es necesariamente que estés solo, okay? Porque I have been surrounded by people
Yeah.
who
Still
love
feels
me, who
lonely.
pour into me, who whatever, and I still feel alone. In I think in that sense, where when you guys have experienced this depression, have you felt like that, or was it something different? Porque también puede ser like clinical depression. You know what I mean? Just things that are an imbalance of hormones or whatever else that can cause depression. It doesn't necessarily have to be like situations that you go through. Pero in the sense es cuando ustedes han tenido o han experimentado o han vivido con depression y cosas así, is this sense have come to you guys where you feel alone or
Many times.
yeah.
Many times.
Yes.
And I believe that certain people in the Bible actually experienced this.
Experiences, yeah.
Like
Even Jesus himself
Elias.
felt alone.
Yeah.
On the
Yes.
cross, he was
Yeah.
like,
Hold up, where you at,
Yeah.
God? Where you
Like-
at, Father?
Like, I don't know if y'all remember Elías cuando empezó a huir de la reina, la esposa de Acab.
Oh,
That-
yes.
That he
He was like, I'm
afraid.
the last one left.
I'm the last one of the
Yup.
I
prophets
don't know
left.
this.
You don't know this story?
Maybe
No.
I do. Continue to talk.
He was like the last one of the prophets
Like he was
left.
Que
legit
los
the
Yeah,
estaban
last
yeah.
one.
matando a todos, ¿no?
Yeah, they were killing
Okay,
every,
okay.
every
It was
every
it was
prophet
a
that
Agam, right?
Huh?
Agam?
Acab, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know about all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were persecuting them, and then he was just like,
He was like,
Lord, I need you to back me up. He
Yeah.
was like,
He felt
"Nah."
alone.
he felt alone and se fue a esconder a una cueva. He was
Yeah.
afraid.
Yeah.
And,
And sometimes-
wait, did you see that online? Where was it? I think maybe it was either on Instagram or TikTok, and they were talking about this. And they were like, he went into the cave. He was like, Lord, this is it. Like, I'm over. I can't. This is it. And God's like, maybe you're just hungry. Maybe you just need to sleep. You just need to rest. And he was like, go to sleep. Here's some food. Because he was
I
under the
see. I
cave.
saw that TikTok.
He's like, you just need some rest, and you need to eat. Come back to me after your nap. And then he's like, okay, Lord.
sometimes all you need is a nap and some food. I mean, and you know what? Maybe.
Yes, maybe.
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 Pero no, hablando like ya lo que es, right? Not like a moment of being sad or being angry, but
I feel like this whole generation that's coming up, it's suffering with this. Like
it's more common now. Se escucha más que
Yeah.
antes. Yeah.
It's like COVID-19 was a big thing in 2020. Well,
It's still a big
the,
thing. Yeah,
the,
Anxiety.
well,
pero
well,
now, yes.
it has ceased a little bit, but
Yeah. Now we see a lot. And I'm glad, I'm not glad that this is happening. Porque, okay, like you were saying, right? I do also believe de que si los jóvenes o si esa generación o whatever están siendo atacadas en sus mentes es porque el enemigo sabe. El enemigo sabe que, like, I'm gonna make you your worst enemy. So then you make my job easier.
Yeah.
Right? If you fight you,
Yep.
then I don't have to use XYZ to come and make you
Amen.
sad or angry. I don't have to use whatever thing anymore. I don't have to take things from you anymore. I can just get in your head
And you can do it all to yourself.
and you're going to do it all to yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to separate from people. That's the thing, like even with like animals and stuff, as I'm saying this, like, el león ataca no al group de herd or whatever lo que hay ahí. Sino ellos, they're like on the lookout. Which one is alone? Because that's the one I'm attack.
Yeah.
And so sometimes if the enemy can get in your head, then tú te apartas de tus friends.
Yeah.
Tú te apartas de tu familia. Tú te apartas de tu community. De tu gente de la iglesia.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about the armor. The people that are wearing the same armor as you, tú mismo te apartas. They're not even apartándote de ti, but tú mismo te apartas de jam on
Yeah.
you, right? So then it's like, what do we do? So in the sense of like this feeling of aloneness and knowing, understanding that if you're going through this, one, go talk to number one, vulnerability. Talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
And it's hard. It's hard.
I was gonna get there.
It's very hard.
So when you have gone through these seasons of depression,
Yeah.
how did you overcome them? How were you vulnerable? Did you talk to somebody, anybody, or what did that process look like?
Well, for me, I hate. Well, I love my mom. She's my at-home therapist. Like, actually, like, she's someone I can count to. I can talk to, and like, she doesn't judge me, even if I feel like bad or this or that. I thank God. So, cause sometimes your parents might be able to understand you because they someday were in your own shoes,
Yeah.
and they might know how you feel. So definitely go ahead. If you trust in your parents, and I hope you do, try to look for some.
So when you were going through these situations, that's who you went and talked to, your mom.
Yes, and I don't regret that decision.
And you just went and were like, what? Like, let's have a conversation, or hey, mom, this is how I'm feeling. How did that look like?
Well, especially I would feel sick from my behalf. From my behalf, I would feel bad. I would feel worse, and she would notice that on me, and she would be like, "Samuel, ¿usted se siente bien? Are you okay?" And
That sparked something in you to say something.
yeah, that actually helps. And I mean, for me, that person was my own mom,
Yeah.
and I feel like because she's my own mother. She has lived through life. She already has gone through my stage of life. She knows a little bit of how I'm living my life. She knows a little bit of how I
Yeah. How you
And-
could feel,
yeah,
or
how I
whatever
could
the
feel,
case.
yeah. And that helped a lot. So I mean, if you have your parents close by, I would suggest trying to talk with them, sit with them, talk with them, because if sometimes you might think parents will be, oh, but this and that and this and that sometimes, but sometimes
I think it depends on your parents. I
it
think
also depends on your
yes.
parents. Yeah.
Because there are some parents like it's funny because I'm gonna say something because, but it is funny because my sister, I have one sister only, and she is 50 something years old. I think she's like 53 or something like that. So she's very older. Sorry, sister, I love you. But she's an older lady. My mom is older than that. My mom is like, I want to say she's 69 or 70. So she's like older, right? So I remember that back in the day, whenever I was going through depression and anxiety, no, not anxiety, but I was going through depression, I would want to talk to them. And many times I would be like, I am feeling really sad, I'm feeling depressed, and I did not get the best answers.
Yeah.
And that was like, actually, like, it did worse. Me hizo más daño que good. Now, the other day, we were at my brother's house, and we were talking about anxiety, and we were talking about how like, people are going through anxiety and how crippling that could be and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I can relate. I was like, I have some anxiety. I was like, there's a lot of nights where I deal with anxiety, where my heart is racing, where I have a lot of thoughts and I feel like I can't shut my mind off, where I'm like like estoy cansada, like I ran a marathon, and I'm laying in bed where I'm feeling so anxious that I'm like nauseous and about to throw up. So it's like a real physical thing, and let alone I'm like tired. And so I'm like tired and my eyes want to close, but my mind is going 100 miles per hour, and I just can't. And so I was explaining this to them, and my sister like looks at me and she's like, "¿Tú tienes ansiedad?" I was like, "Girl, I've been telling you." And she was like, "Tú nunca nos dijiste." I was like, "Yeah, I did." I was like, "Y'all just never listen. Y'all always treat it like it's unreal. Like, this is not real. Like, we lived through harder times, and we didn't have what you have, so you would live nothing. So why you feeling like this? But we were able to have a full-on conversation this time around, and now every so often, whenever I talk to them, my sister's like, "Hey, ¿cómo te sentís?" ¿Y cómo dormiste? And that's now her checking up on me and the anxiety, right? And so it just depends, because there are some parents that are like really close-minded,
And I feel like
really
that's
don't
almost
believe in it.
like I don't want to say generational thing. It's not a generational thing, but it's more like of your upbringing. That's not something that you ever experienced, or like you even saw in somebody else, or that you even even like I don't, maybe like a learned behavior, I guess. If okay, I'm gonna use myself an example. So my father, his parents, my grandma and my grandpa. My grandpa was actually the more emotional one, I guess you could say. He was more sensible. My grandma was tough love for everybody. Y'all don't know anything. Like, I've gone through hell and back. Those are the stories. I walked 10 miles to my school and back, and I had to leave. I had to leave school just so I could provide for my family. That was my grandma. God rest her soul. She was a great woman, but she was tough love. And I see that because my dad, he will, like, I know he loves us and everything, but he will not express his emotions. He'd rather just shut up and just not say anything at all. It don't matter how hard the situation is. If anything, like, he'll say like 1 or 2 words, like, that's it, and then he won't say anything. He won't even like mention anything. It's even like hard for him to say I love you. Like, when he leaves and goes on the airport, for as long as I can remember when I was young, he would be like, he would come, he would ask us for a hug. Those would be like the only times he would ask us for a hug. He would come and be like, eres un chicken. That was his thing. We were his pollitos. We were his little chicken, and he was the rooster. He'd be like, eres un chicken. He would give us a hug and like kiss on our forehead, and that's it. He never said I love you, but he was like, you are my child. And that was his goodbye. Never hugged, never kissed, like, never said I love you, but anything like that. So I would see that, and I'm like, I would ask my mom, I'm like, why doesn't he say I love you? Like, I remember really young asking her this, and she was like, you're a grandma, like, she's a tough woman. I don't know, I have never heard your dad tell me that, like, his mom told you I love you.
So it's
or
like
anything like that. It's a learned behavior. And I'm like, and my mom, she was the opposite.
Hurt people.
Exactly. And then I'll be
Heal
like,
people.
I'll be like, Daddy, I love you. Eres un chicken. That's his thing. That's his thing.
And you wouldn't.
Never said it.
Tenías que interpretar eso.
I had to figure it out. I had to learn what that meant because I have never heard my dad say, I love you. The only times I've ever heard him say something like that was like on my big milestones. Like when I graduated, when I turned 15, things like that. But other than that, never. And then it's not until later in life when I like learned and I became like a grown up that I understood. My mom was like, your dad never got that type of love. And then your grandpa will unfortunately, like, she was the head of the household. She was the matriarch. Whatever she said was done. So unfortunately, todos tus tías, they've gone through that. And their kids don't hear that. So I'm gonna make sure, as your mother, you will hear that from me. And unfortunately, since that's what I saw, I'm like, okay, I am now a little bit more open to be like, I love you. But I don't like saying that. I don't like talking about my emotions. I don't like hugging. I like hugging. And I know this because, like, my mom will come up to me and I feel so bad. I know. It's something that I have been working on for years. And until this day, I'm still working on. My mom will come up and ask me for a hug. I'm like, oh, church hug. Or I'll give her a front hug. But she'll, like, cling on for it. Like, and I'm like, Mom, let go. Like, I'm trying to go to a restaurant. I'm trying to go get changed. I just came from work. I'm tired. She's like, I just want to love you. And I'm uncomfortable. I'm like, this is not that it's not normal to me, because she spent my whole life telling me that she loves me, hugs me, all these things. But just seeing that from my father, I was like, to this day, I'm like, no.
you experience love from your mom, but you also saw the completely opposite side of it.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, sometimes you can have them both.
Yes.
Y desafortunadamente, I don't know about you guys, but for me, like I can, this is something that I'm changing, okay? Pero I can experience positive and negative things from things, pero se me queda más lo negative.
Exactly. Why? Why? I don't
know.
understand.
That's to all of us.
And then don't get me wrong. Like I know this is what my mom wants. I know this is what she needs. I know that she's a very loving person, and I will give her what she wants. Am I comfortable doing it? No. And it's crazy because I'm like, I do need to change that. It's something that I want to work on because I want to be a loving mother. I want to be a loving
Same.
wife. I want to be a loving daughter. A loving everything.
Yeah.
But it
And
comes so hard.
Because
Like,
you have to be vulnerable.
because I have to be
In order
vulnerable
for you
and I
to
don't want
love,
to.
in order for you to love and give love, you have to be vulnerable. You have to open up yourself. Like it's like you understand the risk that are involved, but then you still have to be like, sabes que yes, conozco los riesgos, pero me vale.
Like,
You know, like,
honestly,
and I'm still gonna love.
when I opened up to my mom, I was like, wow, am I really gonna say this to my mom? Am I really gonna like express myself to my mom? And she was, and thankfully she was that person for me. Maybe it's not gonna be your mom for you or for anyone else, but there's always gonna be this one person that you maybe you can count out.
Yes.
For me, the person who I would say my mom was my mama is
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yes.
Like on both of you guys'
Yes.
end. I'm
Me
very
too.
surprised but very
Look,
happy.
they give some tough love, but when they offer their pure love, it's
it's
the
like
best.
the way I opened. So this is how it went. Kind of
Yeah.
a little backstory. So I was mentally just like freaking battling myself. I was just fighting myself negative and a bunch of negative thoughts came to my mind. And then I was like something. I don't know what it was. I think it was the Holy Spirit. I don't know, but something told me, speak up, speak to your mom, open up. And I was like, I don't like it. No, I don't want to. And then I was like, it was like I think it was like a Tuesday, a random Tuesday when I was at work. I was like, Mom, can we talk? And she was like, ¿Qué pasó? I was like, no, get out, vamos a ir a, let's go to Starbucks. Vamos a ir a Starbucks. Let's go to Starbucks. And he go, okay, está bien. And then that's when I really opened up to her. I was in the middle of a bunch of Starbucks workers. Everybody was leaving. And it was just me and her having just this genuine conversation, being really vulnerable with her. And then I was like, in my head while we were speaking, I was like, why didn't I do this any sooner?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, all this time I've been bottling up my emotions within myself, and I was like, just freaking, I don't know, battling myself every freaking day. And then I was just like, why didn't I do this any sooner? And I feel like, I don't know why we tend to close up ourselves when you have the help. Like, why don't you go out and like go and seek out your help?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with speaking with people who they know you. Like, for example, our parents, they know us, and like Sam said, like they've been through stuff and they understand you. So I just opened up to my mom, and then she was really happy. Like, she cried and she was like, I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Oh,
Because
wow.
she saw me like mentally bottling up my emotions, and she would try to ask me, but I was just like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I just leave me alone. And then what else? We were talking, and then she teared up and she was like, I love you so much. I know I can be tough on you and stuff. I can tell you like, oh, move on. This is gonna like, se te va a ir. Solo dale tiempo. Time will heal. And she was really proud of me. She was like, estoy muy orgullosa. And when she told me that, I just broke down in tears. I was like, we don't say I love you either, much at home. But I was like, I literally, it had been like the first time that I told her that I loved her. Because when we were little, me and my sister would tell her all the time, every minute, I love you, te quiero mucho, te quiero mucho, te quiero mucho. And then that had been like the first time, like in a long time, that I told her that I loved her. And I was vulnerable with her. And then after that, my relationship with her actually grew. Like,
That's good.
and I was really happy, and I was really grateful to God that He allowed me to have a mom, the mom that I have. For some reason, God gives you your parents. Like, there's a reason why you have those parents, and your parents are the ones that are like gonna help you push through life. Even though you may not like them, you may not like what they tell you, but actually take in those consejos and take from them. Because, for example, what did she? I forgot what she told me. But she told me something really important, that you have to actually speak up, because at again, bottling up your emotions, someday you're just gonna explode, and then by exploding, um, you might not do good things, like exploding, like in the middle of that roller coaster, you might harm others, and that's not really good to bottle up your emotions. So I feel like this generation should speak up a lot more.
Yeah. Whether that is with your parents, like you guys were saying, that you have like a, that relationship with them, and that was able to help you guys. And so if you're watching and if you have parents and you feel like you want to take the step and talk to them, we definitely recommend that you do that. But also, I want to be consciente de que hay personas that have been hurt by their parents, and that is a reality for a lot of people, right? Whether they have been abused by them physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. You can still be vulnerable. Maybe it's not that person for you, but like you were saying, there's somebody else. That can be a friend. I know. So my journey of being vulnerable, like we talked about, right? I'm even now. I do have sayings like, "Hey, stop being a punk," right? I love that. I tell myself that all the time. I tell my friends that all the time. Because that's like, okay, like we do have to be strong. I do believe in meeting in the middle. Porque también la palabra dice que nos ha llamado a ser valientes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can't always sit in the weakest part of us. También tenemos que tener esa valentía. Tenemos que, ser, porque si sos parte de un army es porque sos fuerte.
Sí.
You know what I mean? But we can be strong, but at the same time, we can be vulnerable. And vulnerability can be a strength and not a weakness. Porque cuando tú te abres con alguien, ellos can hold you accountable. Y tú puedes hablar con ellos de algo, de quizás una de tus debilidades, and they can give you the resources, the tools that you need to then fire that thing up and switch it up, and instead of being a weakness, it could be your strength.
And vice versa.
Yeah. And the word says that. Proverbs 19:20, we have it in English. It says, take good counsel and accept correction. That's the way to live wisely and well. En español dice, el que oye consejo y acepta que lo corrijan acabará siendo sabio. You want to be wise, tú quieres ser una persona sabia, habla con alguien más que te pueda corregir en lo que tú estés pasando, porque algunas depressions, algunas anxiety que nosotros tenemos, or that we're going through, experiencing, es por nuestras mismas consecuencias, if we're being honest. Is decisions that we made, is relationships that we were into that we saw the red flags and we wanted to ignore. It's situations where we could have talked to somebody before going through all the seasons of sadness and whatever, but we didn't. We chose to stay quiet. So there are some things that come in as a consequence, and so if we're able to talk to somebody and allow them to speak, and for us to just listen and understand and take it and then put into actions the consejos que nos están dando, then we can be considered wise people. In my experience, like I was saying, I'm very much a believer. I don't like to cry, especially in front of people. Y'all about to catch me slipping. I like to be known as a strong person. I like to be like, all right, who we fighting? Who? All the things. Pero I know that in growing up like that, because I'm 31 years old and I suffered from depression since I was 16 until I can remember, until like, I don't know, many years. I've tried to take my own life before, all the things. Okay, so it was bad. But in that I closed off from a lot of people, and I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I knew that I needed to, porque ya era como que too much. Como que esto ya, mi pecho no es bodega. Necesito sacar todo lo que tengo. And so I was like, how do I do this because I was afraid. I was afraid of people laughing at me. I was afraid of que la gente me mirara como weak.
Yeah.
I was afraid que the people that respected me for however many years, especially like even like as leadership in the church,
Yeah.
in different areas, in different ministries, como que if you knew my weaknesses, como que ya el respeto de being in this position, como que ya no iba a estar, because then you saw my weakness. And so all of these things I was afraid of, and so one day I was like, all right, ain't none of y'all know nothing. We're going to keep it that way for now. But there's somebody who does know. There's somebody who knows even without me speaking. There's somebody who knows even when I want to act like I don't know. There's someone that knows. And that is the Lord. So I'm like, all right. I sat down. I was like, look, we're about to have a conversation. Just you and I was like, you already know what's up. You've seen it all. You've heard it all. And you know what's in my heart and my mind. Without me even speaking. Porque eso es lo que la palabra dice, right? Que a veces hasta tu espíritu. Yeah.
Y antes de que digas,
Él ya lo sabe.
Yeah.
So I was like, so you already know. I'm just here to vent it out, but you already know this. And so you still love me. I'm not dead, right? So you still love me. Todavía tienes tu gracia, tu favor, tu misericordia over my life. So I'm about to just spill the beans. And so I start going off, right? And I start being extremely vulnerable to where I'm like, I say all the things that I've gone through that make me feel this way through the years that he pasado, of like this person and this person and this situation and blah, 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 and whatever. And then I'm like, and now I'm mad at you. Because the word says that que ni una hoja se mueve si tú no lo permites. So then you allowed this to happen. So now I'm angry at you. And I'm sad at you. And I've been feeling alone, not just from anybody, because who cares about them? Sorry, y'all. But I was like, but you left me alone because you allowed all these things to happen. And in saying that, that released me from that feeling of even being mad at him. Because it was like, yeah, cool. I allowed that to happen. But you grew from it, right? You thrived from it, right? Not only did you overcome that, but now you're able, all the experiences that made you depressed at one time, you're able, there's a part in the Bible when Jesus is talking to Peter, my homeboy Peter. Peter, when I see you up in heaven.
You're like, me and Peter are cut from the same cloth.
But there's something that donde Peter has rejected or has not rejected, pero ¿cómo se dice? He denied Jesus 3 times, right? And he's like back where he started in the ocean thing. Y llega Jesus after he has resurrected. Everybody knows, but not Peter. And so then Jesus is there, calls him up, whatever. They're having a conversation. Peter want to act like he don't know who Jesus is when he knew. And then Jesus is like, strengthen your brothers. Or maybe this is before, actually. Maybe this is before he comes and he's like, strengthen. No, I think it is after. Donde le dice, do you love me? He's asking him, do you love me? And he's like, yes, Lord, you know I love you. And he's like, do you love me? Y le pregunta como 3 times.
Yes.
And then the third time he's like, Lord, you know that I do. He's like, all right, go and strengthen your brothers. And to me, it was like, God was telling me that you trust me, right? I know you've gone through bad things. I know you've gone through pain. I know you've gone through heartache. I know you've gone through certain situations, but you trust me, right? But you love me, right? Even now, being all mad, all pissed, going off, all the things, you still love me though, right? Yes, Lord, I do. And then he was like, all right, go and strengthen your brothers. Use the experiences, use that pain, use that heartbreak to now go and share that. Go and share with other people that are going through the same thing who didn't have a you in that moment. And go and strengthen them. And it's like certain, and so then that's when I was like, all right, this was my first step. I talked to the Lord, he already knew. So it was kind of like cheating in a way. And then I was like, now let me talk to people. And so then I was like, who in my surrounding has been with me for a couple of years, who have gone through fire, who have put in the test to like I can trust, and trust you con poquito. And that is how you start being vulnerable with people. You don't have to go de un solo con todas las cosas.
Yeah.
You can start with a little bit. See what that person does with a little bit. And then give them some more. Y así, and so then I started doing that. And then even like today, like obviously vulnerability is one of my things también this year. Where I'm starting therapy and all these things. And so I want to be vulnerable. I want to get good counsel. And even like today, I'm not a hugging person. I'm not a touchy person. Don't touch me. Don't, unless you're my husband, or my child, or my mom. That's it. But today, I actually did miss Emily, and
No, I'm surprised. She just said,
I know.
She literally, I won't even lie to you, she literally jumped on me, pulled me in,
Yeah.
and I started, she was like, what's going on?
Yeah,
And she was like, I missed you, best friend. I was like, I missed you too.
We were all
What
surprised.
was this? This came out of nowhere.
Yeah, because I was like, you know what? I have the feeling of I miss you.
Mhm.
I can identify this feeling, right? And so I want to show it. And that makes me super vulnerable because in that
Yeah.
moment, Emily my thoughts prior to this, not right now, but in the years before, was like, well, what if I go in for a hug and they push me away? What
Yeah.
if I go into a hug and they're looking at me like,
crazy.
yeah, like, are you crazy right now? What the hell you all want me? You know what I mean? And so then I was just like, whatever. You assess the risk and you're like, me vale. I'm gonna do it anyway. And so, yeah, Emily, how did do you feel like you're vulnerable now? Do you feel like you can be vulnerable,
I feel like
or
when
are
I
you
was,
still working on this?
I feel like when I was younger, I was a little bit more vulnerable than when I am now. I will say this, I went from vulnerable to like closed off, straight up not vulnerable, to like I'm slowly opening up again now.
Yeah.
I feel like life circumstances, situations that I went through made me close off, and I was like, you know what, it's alright, ya pasó, no me vuelve a pasar otra vez. It's not gonna happen. Whether it be in friendships, relationships, whatever.
Yeah.
I went through it all, so I was just like, you know what, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, you're being dumb. My mom, you're being stupid. My dad didn't have no words for me. My brother was just like, you know what,
Just deal with it.
just deal with it. Get over it. And I'm the one telling my brother, get over it. So it has been a long process. So I feel like now I'm slowly opening up more than what I was. But unfortunately, like you said, little by little, like you trust one person with a little bit and see how far you go. And it's crazy because I have not a hard time, but I do struggle with separating myself from like being a friend to a counselor to a helping hand, because I do take your advice a lot, and you know that.
Yeah.
And I take, like, you and my mom's advice are the two main people in my life that I'm like, si ellos dicen algo es por una razón. I gotta take it in and I gotta like sit with it. Like, don't just straight up attack and think, what is it that I'm gonna say? Like, no, I gotta sit with it. My mom may feel like I don't, but I do.
I sometimes feel like you don't.
But I'm like, okay, there's a reason for all these things. And I'm in a point in my life where I'm constantly thinking about the future. I'm constantly thinking about like, not only what I want in my life, but what I want my life to look like. And I keep telling myself that if I want my life to look like this, if I want my life to look like A, B, C, I need to do 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Because if I don't do this right now, if I don't prepare the way, like Jesus told his 12 disciples, go prepare the way for me. They were not going to be ready for him when he got there.
Yeah.
If I don't take these 3 steps to prepare myself for the next upcoming years, when those years comes, I'm not going to be ready.
Yeah.
When it's time for me to have kids, when it's time for me to have a husband, when it's time for me to have my own life apart from mom and dad, brother, friends, whatever, I'm not going to be ready to be able to give them what I should be able to give them as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, all these things. So it has been a struggle to come back, because I feel like I was very vulnerable in my younger days. But little by little. Yes, a work in progress. Definitely.
What is the one thing that you say, like, in your vulnerability journey, you have learned, and like the main thing de que has taught you
Ooh.
that you can share to somebody else?
Just because, okay, and this is gonna sound hard. Just because, let's say you give a little bit to somebody, and you're like, let's sit on it, let's see how they're gonna react, let's see what they're gonna do with this information. And let's say this is not a good person, this is not a good friend to you. And then they go and tell your business to somebody else that does not have the best intentions for you. And they're over here back talking about you, or they're making up all these rumors. And you're like, well, damn, this person me traicionó. They went and told all my business to somebody else. Well, I don't need to trust anybody else anymore. Now you're doing yourself a disservice because this one person failed you and went and told all your business to somebody else. Now, because of one person's mistake, you're losing out on friendships, on relationships that maybe can help you in the future.
Yeah.
That's good.
Just because one person lets you down does not mean the whole world has let you down.
Dang.
Just because this one person went and told your business and started rumors about you, but that's what you gave them a little bit. Never a lot, just a little bit. Okay, this person failed me. I already know. My lesson learned. I'm not trusting you with anybody else, with anything else. But that doesn't mean that XYZ, ABC, 1, 2, 3 can't. They can, but again, poquito, poquito, little by little.
Yeah. What have you learned? What has vulnerability taught you?
Something. I don't know, Sam.
Let's give Anna some time. Anna, you could.
He's like, sit on the cover.
Well, something I'm just thinking of right now, which is something I've learned. Jesus Christ himself at some point was vulnerable. Like, he couldn't do anything when the Romans and the Jews were criticizing him. He couldn't do anything when all of that was happening to him. But he did it all for us. And at some point, we need to understand as well that if he was able to be vulnerable, to give it all for us, we can count in him, and we can count on the people who are, well, Christian people who have him, because Christ is not just like God. You can see Christ through your friends or through your family members. So I feel like you can also count on that.
You need more time, Anna?
Oh.
What are the
Y nosotros
Vulnerabilidad.
vulnerability. I feel like
Vulnerabilidad.
I feel like what I've learned from vulnerability, the word. I feel like it's okay to express yourself. It's just simple. It's just okay to express yourself, and the reason is because vulnerability can be a superpower. I feel like, because I'm gonna be honest, like in our generation, we're looking for people who are going through our things, and like if you feel if there's people that are like, oh yeah, this we're happy in the Lord, but you're not showing the ugly side. I'm like, I can't relate to you. So I feel like vulnerability really is a superpower, and like whenever vulnerability is also being exposed. So I don't know if you know this, but well, pretty sure y'all read the Bible, right? When Jesus was crucified, we in all culture has put like stuff like underwear, but in reality, Jesus was like completely like exposed.
Yeah.
So I was like, if Jesus was exposed back then we also have to expose ourselves. Especially, we have to expose ourselves to God, because He, like you said, Melissa, like He knows your thoughts before you even speak them or before you even think them. He just knows who you are, and I feel like when you're vulnerable, especially to God, His faithfulness is just there. Like no matter what, it's just there. That's one of the things that I learned from vulnerability is His faithfulness. The only one, even if the person to your left or to your right fails you, He's the only one who's gonna stay faithful to you, and that's why I feel like.
Yeah. You, Emily?
You. I already said something.
Oh, you did? Oh,
I did.
Okay. I remember. Oh, me. I'm the last one, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I think, like, what I have learned from
Vulnerability. Come on.
Ya está a ti.
She's-
Vulnerability.
Me la pegaste. Vulnerability. There you go. Just say it really fast. What I have learned is you're not the only one that's going through stuff. Other people are going through it, and so even though it's uncomfortable for you, even though it's outside of your comfort zone and you're scared and things like that, it is very important for you to be vulnerable and understand and accept that, like, you know what, this is a good thing at the end of the day. Yes, trust whoever you're gonna be vulnerable with. Make sure that it's a person that que te va a ayudar y que no te va a take that moment to crucify you even more. But that you know that this person is gonna listen to understand, and instead of like just listen to respond. So that is what I have learned, and I think that it's a good thing. You're not alone. If you're going through depression, if you're going through anxiety, don't think that you're a weak generation, or that you are alone in this. Maybe it does feel like that. Maybe this season does feel lonely, but trust and know that you're not alone. Number one, God is always going to be with you, regardless of anything. Like I said, He already knows what's going on before you even speak it. So trust me, there's nothing that you say that's going to come out of your mouth that's going to scare Him. that he's going to be speechless, that He's not going to know what to say to you, or something completely new that He's never heard before, experienced, or seen, or whatever. So you can fully trust in Him. And then also, like, find wise counsel. Find people around you who you're able to trust. If you feel like you can't trust anybody, all the people around you have let you down de una u otra manera, or if you feel like you have no friends, if you feel like you can't trust your family, because these things happen, and if you feel like alone, okay, go to a therapist. Find the right fit, find the right therapist for you. Go to them and start putting in the work, because you want to be the type of people that que puede heal people. You never want to be the type of person who is hurt and ends up hurting people, and then you're the cause of a stumble from somebody else, which is what the Bible verse that we read earlier today. Like, pobrecito de ti, que you're the cause of somebody else stumbling.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to our question and answers. All right, who got some questions? You?
Why are you looking at me?
You said that I asked you. You said you got some. Did you get some questions?
Yes. Do y'all prefer winter or summer?
Summer.
Why?
Porque
Do you know how to swim?
I know how to survive.
I said the same thing. I'm like, I can swim to survive. That is my thing.
Ain't nobody want to try to win the Olympics here. I just want to make it from one end to the other. That is it.
Okay, but you can like swim.
Yeah, I can survive.
Do you know how to float?
Yes.
Okay. Get it
How
up.
do you like summer or winter? And why?
Look, we already said I am a comfortable person. I like to be comfortable in a comfortable temperature, not fully cold, not super
So
hot.
you like autumn?
But
No,
yes.
that's not the question.
No, I said summer or winter.
Exactly.
There's no.
Because if we talk about other seasons,
look.
Winter.
I prefer summer because I like going to El Salvador and enjoying the ¿cómo se llama?
the greenery.
La atmósfera allá. I love it. I love feeling going on vacation and just enjoying
just sweating.
No, sweating. We go with like 4 fans attached. Like, nah, especially my mom. But I'm just so used to it now. I'm like, it's okay. I know that like in this little pueblito, I'm gonna need a sweater. In this little pueblito, I'll be fine until the nighttime, and then I'm gonna be sweating bullets. But then during the day, I'll be fine. And then there's a lot. You'd be surprised how many trees there are and like greenery for you to be like, oh, under the shade, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal.
So
But
summer.
I love going on summer trips. So I'm like, I can do summer. But I feel like it's only because I haven't experienced like a full-on winter, like like in Canada or something. I do. I want to go experience that in a log cabin or something. I just want to play in the snow.
You're going to, because maybe we're going to go to Colorado.
Oh, so there you go. Maybe.
Summer too.
I'm gonna say winter because we live in Houston, doesn't really look. When it gets cold, I'm happy. So
I am too, though.
so
I like no, but I prefer summer because I can go to the pool. Like,
Yes.
I don't know, but just the feeling of being like comfortable.
I guess this is a different
Drinking.
feeling than normally feeling super hot.
Drinking hot chocolate. I don't like the heat. That's all.
it's good. That's true too, because I love hoodies.
I
And
love
I
hoodies.
See,
can't
we're
wear
all the
hoodies
same.
in the summer.
I don't wear hoodies in the summer.
In my house, I can't walk outside
Yeah.
instant
Like-
sweat.
Can't
Like-
relate. I just wear.
I love layering.
What season it is, I still wear.
So you, if
No,
you
I
go to
can't
the
do that.
park, like you be outside just like straight up in a hoodie. That's loca.
No,
No.
it's too hot.
I love
No.
Like if I'm wearing something in winter, I like layer a
Layer.
lot.
Layer it on.
And
yeah.
I feel comfortable. So yeah, I think I like winter.
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't like winter, and that's the reason why, because you have to put a bunch of layers on top. So even during winter, I just don't wear anything. I'm just gonna go with just my dress and my bed. And people are like, "No tienes frío, Anita."
I do that all the time.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I prefer the summer too, because like Emily said, you get to enjoy the atmosphere. It's
Yes.
just nice.
Yes.
There's good things of both seasons, but
See,
for me, I would personally like winter, especially because I'm wearing blue. So
So what other question you got?
What are the questions?
Uh-huh.
Wait, let me go check. I don't remember the question.
Okay. If we don't have any more questions, that's